these, and so I would love to record this so that people can come revisit everything that we're talking about, all the different flavor profiles and all the wonderful information that Marco will be sharing with us here tonight. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to say thank you to everybody that's joining us here. For anybody that's new, my name's Steven, one of the owners at Tohono Mercado with my lovely fiance as well, Emily. And we just both have really big passion for mezcal, which is a reason for us wanting to do these virtual tastings. Recently, we have had the really great opportunity to try new brands and new expressions that are coming to the market in 2021 that may have been held a little bit because of the pandemic or whatsoever. So tonight we have really an awesome opportunity to try Gusto Historico, brand new to the market here with Marco Ochoa here. We're so honored to have you here with us tonight. I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and everybody else here tonight for you joining us. And yeah, I don't know if I did a great introduction to you, Marco. I haven't personally had the privilege to meet you, but if you want to do a little introduction about yourself and this project, that would be absolutely amazing.
Okay, I try to explain me because my English is so bad. Sorry, but I need to express myself. No, okay. Gusto Historico is my. Okay.
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, do you see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see that wonderful beard, Marco.
Yeah, it's my quantitative experiment in this quarantine. I need to know how much my beard grow after receive the vaccine. It's a quantitative experiment, yeah. And the hair too. This is why the reason I use a cap, because yeah, my hair is so long. Yeah. Yeah, it's an experiment, my personal experiment.
Well, it's because you've been diving so deep with Gusto Historico, right, Marco?
Yeah, I need to turn this light because it's. Okay, yeah. Gusto Historico is a historic taste. Born this concept maybe in 2005 when I began to work with traditional mezcal. Please, if you don't understand my English, tell me because I try to explain better. No,
Marco, you speak very well, so please continue.
And historic taste, bueno, Gusto Histórico is a concept in the different village because exist different ways to make mezcal and different techniques and use different magueyes, and the different producers has different recipes, and every community construct different flavors. No, the reason why I'm introducing the mezcal world is two. My family made mezcal for many years, 5 generations ago. No, apart from my grandmother. I born in Mexico City. No, I'm studying in Mexico City, make all my life in Mexico City. And when the mezcal begin to make a trend, no, and appear different mezcalerias, I have the opportunity to try one mezcal from the town was born my mother. No, it's Miahuatlán de Porfirio Díaz. And when I try this mezcal, I say, this is not the flavor that what I know, because in my home, all my life has mezcal. My great grandfather, when I visit my great grandfather, a producer, maestro mezcalero, all the time we return to Mexico City with liters and liters on mezcal, tlayudas, tasajo, the itacate. No, itacate is a concept where you take a lot of food and different things for your home, no? Tortillas, etc., etc. In my student life, I have mezcal all the time, no? In the Paris, okay, I don't have money, but in my house, I have mezcal, guys. Okay, all the time I try mezcal. I know the flavors, but unconscious, no? It's like the Mexican, when you try tortillas all your life, and you change your life in another country and try tortillas, it's not the same flavor. This is the gusto histórico. It's the historic taste work in your palate. No? And for me, happened with the mezcal. When I tried the mezcal, I said, this is not the mezcal, the original mezcal. What's happened here? This is the reason why I study what's happened in the alcohols, no? Why the law and the normatives destroy the flavors, and begin to work and to understand all these things, no? When you try how to destroy many gustos históricos for different alcohols in Mexico, the tequila is the big example, no? The industry destroyed the historic taste of the tequila because in the past you used different agaves to make tequila, cooking oven earth, no, distilling different techniques. And when the industry comes to tequila, homogenize these flavors. The law in the norm is wrong because exists only one norm to regulate thousand and thousand different ways to make mezcal. And when you take homogenize these flavors, destroy the gustos históricos, the different, each village has different gustos históricos, no? And this is the reason why gusto histórico born like a concept. I want to work with the people, show how is the gusto histórico in Miahuatlán, because it's not the same gusto histórico in Ejutla or in Ocotlán. It's not the same the gusto histórico in Mengolí or in San Luis Amatlán, no? Few kilometers change the flavors because change the earth, change the yeast, change the water is different, change the and other plants around the magueyes, the altitude, and all these factors or variables is impact and make a difference in the mezcal. And with Gusto Histórico, I want to show what is the original flavors in the traditional mezcal. The traditional flavor is not a all thing. All the people think the tradition is all. No, the tradition is life. Is now. The tradition is in the constant movement. But when you say, oh, no, the tradition is all, we need to make the next step. Okay, the tradition is not all, now is the next step. If we want to know how to make the mezcal, we need to know how the people make in the past. Is necessary because we need great base, una base, a great support, because we need to construct over this base more and more. Okay, I'm explaining, guys. Please tell me.
Yeah, no. Hey, Marco, thank you. That's so great. That makes complete sense. We appreciate you explaining all that. I think that with all that being said, we should pour the first mezcal here.
Yeah.
Marco, do you have any way that you want to start with first, or a producer you want to start with first?
I think you need to begin with the three magueyes, maybe Manuel Ramos, tres magueyes. Okay. For me, this is the best to begin.
Perfect. And should we start with the sotol, or should we start with the?
No, with the ensemble.
With the ensemble. Okay, perfect. If everybody wants to grab the Manuel Ramos ensemble, I'll type it into the chat right now, guys. And then Marco, if you want to speak a little bit to the producer here while everyone's kind of smelling and sipping, and then once you give a brief explanation on that, then we can kind of go into flavors and what people are thinking about it. Does that sound okay?
Remember, the ensemble is Madre Cuiche, Tepestate, and...
It is, yes, it's Madre Cuiche, Becuiche, Tepestate.
Okay, Madre Cuiche, Becuiche, Tepestate. We work with my family. Emmanuel Ramos is my cousin. Victor Ramos is my uncle. No, they are my family. And to understand why we work with ensembles, with mezclas, is because in the past, the people, my grandfather and my great-grandfather, in the past in the region, the producers, the maestros mezcaleros, work with mezclas all the time, with ensembles. To make was very rare work with one maguey work with one maguey is very new, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when the people want to know what flavors exactly are in different magueyes. But in the past, when the producer made mezcal, you different. In Gusto Histórico, the major part of the mezcales, you find ensembles. Bicuiche and Madrecuiche are very citrics. No? When you try, you feel the citric flavors. For the water, when you try the mezcal, okay, my recommendation is you need 3 sips to begin to try mezcal, because in the first sip you wash your palate, clean your mouth, maybe you smoke a cigarette, chew a gum. You need to clean. Don't believe in your first sip. You need to clean all the palate. In the second sip, you clean more and begin to make an habit to the alcohol volume, because are strong, no, are over 45 alcohol volume all the time, the traditional mezcal. In the third sip, you can feel the flavors, and the third sip, you feel the citric for the Karwinskis, like the Cuiche and Madrecuiche. The Tepestate is more resins. Resins is the word?
Yeah, restraint.
Yeah. And when you try and feel like sparks in your tongue, is the mineral for the water. The water in the region is very mineral. When you put a pot with water, in the bottom of the pot, you see a sediment, because you have a lot of minerals.
Guys, the nose on this is absolutely beautiful, bursting with banana to me on this. Absolutely ridiculous.
Floral, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't have. Sorry, guys.
No, we're sorry, Marco. I feel like you should.
Because I don't have the mezcal to feel the.
What else? What are you guys thinking on this? What are you guys smelling? What are you guys tasting? Also, we'll open up to questions that you may have for Marco, especially after trying this first one. Anything about the producer? This is a very complex flavor profile here. I agree, Marco, completely that the Tepestate is not like super prevalent. I think it's more about kind of like how it's hitting your palate is how it's being expressed. But I definitely get the 2 other agaves popping through here a lot. What do you guys think? And always everyone's a little shy on the first one. Then they start to get a little open up on the second and third and the fourth for sure.
Yeah,
why quiet?
Yeah, why?
Well, I can talk a little bit. Like for me, like I'm not the best person, like to judge flavors, and a mezcal, but it can reminds me, like I've been in Miahuatlan before. Of course, like it reminds me Miahuatlan, like the soil, like it's pretty like minty in my nose, and maybe in my aftertaste, it's like it's a lot of soil, like it's dry and mineral, a lot of minerality, in the ensemble.
Hey, Stephen, can you hear us okay now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm obviously still kind of new to some of the agaves, but it seems to me that like really strong, noticeable Tepestate flavor is really integrated and not like overpowering the other two. It's there, but it's in concert. It's really, really, really cool. And I do get that banana thing for sure.
Nice. Oh, yeah, and I think Hugo, you said it really great. And Marco spoke to this a little bit as well. Is that for the people that have been to Miahuatlan, and we've been lucky to be there, is that the water source is really important to the flavor profile. If you have the water in Miahuatlan, you really taste a lot of profile. And then when you have the mezcal after that, it just makes so much sense. And so to tie all that in together, guys, we have to remember that most of the time, half of the fermentation tank is going to be filled with that agave, and the other half is going to be filled with water. Now, of course, depending on altitude and the agave, it might be lesser or more of those proportions, but relatively that. So the water has a huge, huge importance as far as the flavor profiles of what you get in the final product of your mezcal. Was that right, Marco?
Yes, yeah, completely right. It's part of the terroir. Yeah, the water, the soil, the plants, and the recipes, and the time. Now it's very important to understand in the traditional mezcal, you need to follow the steps time by time. In all these mezcales exist two fermentation: a dry fermentation when it's before put water, and humidity fermentation in the tinas, in the how do you say tinas in English? Sorry.
Fermentation tanks or the tank.
In the fermentation tanks, exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else have anything else they want to add?
Marco.
Please,
What?
Rossi.
No, I said that tinas is tubs.
Oh, Todd.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's delicious. It's on the nose for me, it's definitely Karwinski, but you can get a little bit of the minerality of the tepestate. But tasting it is almost oily, like very, very sweet. You know, it's delicious.
Yeah. I really love ensembles because I really think that it's a true representation of the hand of the maestro, in a sense of the maestro understanding sugar content levels of different agaves, understanding proportions of how much to put in there, knowing that on this one that he did that proportion. That's the talent. And so of course anybody can round up like 100 different tobalas, and if they're a great maestro, they'll make a great mezcal out of that, because tobala is a beautiful, beautiful agave that's very priced. However, I think personally, it takes a lot more talent in sourcing different agaves, different types, different sizes, putting it all together and making an ensemble where Matt says, I know tepestate, and I think it's really greatly balanced here. That right there is, I think, a true mark of the talent of the maestro. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Steven.
Yes, please.
Or maybe this is a question for Marco. So congratulations, first of all, Marco, for getting or for launching the new brand. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to meet you and try the first series. So I've been reading a lot about Gusto Historico and some of the writings from Cornelio Perez, otherwise known as Tío Corne. And my understanding from him is that Gusto Historico also has like a bit of kind of, in contrast to what Stephen was saying, a bit of randomness to it, where the producer actually would take just a bunch of the agaves that were ripe or ready for harvest, and then just make an ensemble that way. Can you talk to us about the actual sort of decision-making process? Is it more of like this art that Stephen is describing, or more of like a decision based on when the plants are mature and available?
Okay, yes, the decision is so easy, but yeah, with another note around, we create with Cornelio Perez and Graciela and Gustavo Contreras from Dioseño, the Logia de los Mezcólatras. Maybe you know about this project. This is the first project we begin in 2005, and create a lot of things. And part of the Sabor Histórico, Gusto Histórico is the evolution from Sabor Histórico, was the first concept with my first project. The name was A Punto de Veneno, Mezcal del Bueno was my first brand mezcal. My second project in the mezcal was Mezcaloteca. No, I leave this project and my new project is Gusto Histórico. And then it's so easy, the answer that is quite decide the magueyes. When the maguey is ready, it's so simple. When the maguey is ready, when begin to grow the quiote, the producer in the past, they say, okay, this maguey is ready to make mezcal. I need to cut this, and this. And when they have different magueyes, they make the ensemble, but they need to know the different density in the plants, because when you cook in the oven, you need to put exactly what magueyes are over. It's like the vegetables in the kitchen. When you cook potatoes and pumpkin, you put first the potato because it's hard and the pumpkin is more soft, and you need different times in the oven, put it in different forms, no? The maguey. And yeah, the answer is this: when the maguey is ready, you need to use, because if you don't use the maguey, you lost the only if you want to use the seeds or the little magueyes in the quiote, you leave to grow the quiote, but you know, you do use. And the oven too. The producers work with different size of ovens, maybe 5 tons, 8 tons, 10 tons. And the other decision is what mezcal likes the maestro mezcalero, because other uncles, they cook all the magueyes together and mix the mezcla in the fermentation tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And in this tank, I use Tobalán, Bicuiche, and in this I put Espadina, Roqueño, and Tepestate. Only because these produce like these flavors, and because in the community, the people like these flavors. This is the historic taste. In different communities, use different magueyes.
Awesome. That really is helpful. Thank you so much. And just follow-up question, are all of these, because they're coming from Yahuatlan, produced with using a refrescadera?
Yes, the Victor and Emmanuel Ramos all use reflux steel. Juan Vasquez, no, is a common steel, because Miahuatlan, in this area, you can find 2 different steels, with refrescadera and without refrescadera, which is like the Matatlan or Soquitlan. And in this region, between Miahuatlan and Ejutla, like Yogana, Ejutla, San Agustín Amatengo en Ejutla, en La Escalera en Ejutla, and Mengolí use La Pila, Yegachín use reflux steel. I don't know why, but I try to study what happened in the past and why this kind of steel appearing in this region. But this only is like by distillation, 2 distillations in one step, because it's a plate over the Montera, or you put water, with this water condensed in the top of the steel, and some drops of the mezcal fall again and redistill and pass only one time. All the mezcal from Victor and Emmanuel, they name cordon. It's not alcoholic adjustment like puntas y colas. No, it's cordon. It's like the heart. When you distill in this kind of alambique, the first part of the mezcal, the name is cardenillo. They don't use this cardenillo, maybe 5 liters. They quit and go to the trash, this mezcal, because clean the steel is a lot of methanol and don't use. And the next part is cordon until 40 or 35 40 alcohol volume. But in this mix, in the media is 47, 48, 50, depend the producer, and it's when they cut the cordon. It's not puntas y colas, ni puntas ni chiche. The name is cordon.
So in short, Fred, to answer your question, it's a little bit of both. And that is always what the mezcal is going to be, is that you're going to get a little bit of both sides always to each question. So yeah, it was a great question. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. Thank you. All right, guys, should we move to the second one here? Yes, Hugo, but before we go to you, Hugo, can we pour the second one of the cucharillo here? Does that sound good, Marco?
No, the second one, I prefer you try the 4 magueyes, because I want to try 2 distillate, agave distillates, and the third, the Dactylorum distillate, and feel the difference.
Okay. So let's go to the 4 maguey. So we're gonna go with Victor Ramos next.
Exactly, Victor Ramos.
Guys, if you want to go Victor Ramos, the Tepestate, Arequeño, Madecuiche, Cuiche. And I'll type that into the chat.
Okay, sorry, do you see this image? This is a...
Yeah, we can see it.
This is maybe I share maybe I send you for mail or other, and you Chef, this is the reflux still. How works the reflux still?
Yeah, you can send it to me. I think you're also in the Mezcal Society group, but you can send it to me and I'll post it. Not a problem.
Yeah, I send you.
Perfect, perfect. Hugo, did you have a question?
Yes, really fast, Marco. Like I have two questions, but really fast. Like so, Cardenillo, it's what is in other in places. It will be the ordinario.
No, maybe Cardenillo in Jalisco, they say heads. Heads is the with methanol. They don't use. This is a how do you say? This is the confusion in the different regions because the words explain different parts. For example, when you say to people from Jalisco puntas, the people think it's heads and they think it's high in methanol. In Oaxaca, bueno, in Miahuatlán, are not heads. Heads is Cardenillo, is like a green color, high methanol, and don't use. The next part in other region is puntas. Puntas is between 55 alcohol volume and 80 alcohol volume, 75. The next part is colas or corazon. Is between 40 alcohol volume and 30 alcohol volume. And the last part is the shishe, and they don't use this part because it's so low and put again in the steel and still again. But for example, when you use the other kind of steel, you use puntas y colas or puntas y ordinario to make the balance in the alcohol volume in the flavors. Another thing is important to understand is the producer. They don't search, they don't look at alcohol volume. They are looking flavors. This is the reason why the traditional mezcal is over 45 alcohol volume all the time, because you feel better when the alcohol volume is over 45. If it's lower, it's more water, guys. This is all the time, as they say, it's expensive water when it's lower 45 alcohol volume. The flavors travel in the alcohol, not in the water.
Awesome. Oh, wow. This is Marco. Tell us a little bit about Victor Ramos.
Victor Ramos is the Manuel Ramos' father. The history with these guys is very important to me because I know Victor Ramos and Emmanuel. ¿Cómo es por medio? Because I know the father to Victor Ramos, Pablo Ramos. I begin to work with the Victor Ramos father because Pablo Ramos worked with my grandfather in work together in a very famous palenque in Miahuatlán, Palenque del Saúz, no? This mezcal is most serious. Another thing, what happened in the mezcal is a projection of the imaginary of the producer. You maybe feel the personality of the people, no? It's more serious than the Manuel. The Manuel, it's not the correct word, but you feel more young, no? More brave, the flavor, more the mezcal. When you try the Victor, you try mezcal more zen, maybe more peaceful, more serious, no? With personality. And you find that this is Arroqueño, Tepestate, Madrecuishi, Cuiche, if I remember, right? It's 25% in the same quantities.
Right. Yeah. Tepestate, Arroqueño, Madrecuishi, yeah.
Yeah. You feel the citrics again for the Karwinskis, no? The complexity of the Tepestate, and you feel more flavor to cook maguey, like maybe honey for the Arroqueño. The Arroqueño is a mezcal with a lot of sugar.
Marco, this is one that it just keeps going and going and going. It is so complex. The second sip, way different than the first sip. It's like some peppery on the aroma there. Wow, this is a really yummy one. Like viscous roasted agave is kind of how I would describe this. This is This is like you really like if somebody were to come into our tasting room in Tohona Bar in San Diego, we have a mezcal tasting room there, and someone said to me, Steven, I'm looking for a mezcal that's con ganas a little bit. This is one that I would grab for somebody like that. It's absolutely delicious. This is what I feel like when someone drinks mezcal, this is what kind of drew them at first to mezcal. Is those like very like deep rustic flavors. Yeah. This is absolutely beautiful. What are you guys thinking about this one?
Well, like for me, in the aftertaste, sabe a lima. Me da mucha lima al final. It's like, it's really green, you know, lima, like at the end, me da un sabor, está muy rico. Y I can taste a lot of the Americana also somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nice. You have a lot of character, like you say, like it's strong one, you know, a strong personality, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, strong personality. Yeah.
Oh, what else? What's everybody thinking about this one? I think it's really cool, and I thank you, Marco, for doing it this way, because I don't know the connection, so I'm learning thing, and I think it's really cool how you did it, and I really appreciate comparing the son to the father. Like that's so cool, and there's such a big difference between the two, between the son and the father, and I can speak to my own personal. There is such a big difference between me and my father, while we still have a lot of great similarities. There is a lot of differences between us, and I really dig how different the son and father are as far as the way they produce their mezcals. That's pretty cool. Anybody else? Any other comments here before we move into the next one?
I was just going to say, Steven, I feel like you really get like the element of smoke that is there is very like integrated, but kind of savory and almost mesquite. It's really pleasant, but it really feels savory.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I feel like there's something wrong with me because people are saying that it's like very strong and like, you know, character. You say like if somebody asks you, you know, for something with power, like you will give them this, but I find it so smooth. I don't know, might be only one. I feel like it's very smooth tasting.
I love it because it's like you get this. Granted, I'm a whiskey drinker, dabbling in the world of mezcal tonight, but you know, you get this sort of flavor of like smoothness with tobacco and honey and like clove or pepper, and like I just want to sit out on like a warm night with this with like a cigar and hang out with friends. Like it's a really lovely bottle.
Very, very nice.
Funny, behind the smoke, I feel like you get like a sweet stone fruit, like a really ripe peach. It's really cool. It takes a while because the smoke, of course, is really the first and second, and the pepper and the fire that you're talking about. But deep in there, I feel like there's something really like entrancing that I kind of want to get to, and I haven't gotten there yet. It's really cool.
Love it. Cool. Any other feedback here before we move on to the next one? Cool. Marco, what'd you say after this one?
The Dacilirium, the Cucharillo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the reason is because I want to try two mezcales, is from agave, and Cucharillo is Dacilirium, another plant, another world. Maybe you feel better the difference between agaves, like the maguey, and Cucharillo. This is Dacilirium. In all, again, this is too new for me, the Cucharillo, because from Miahuatlán, maybe I try 5 different cucharillos in all my life, because it's not too common now, begin to be common because the Sotol begin a new movement, and the people say, sometimes we made cucharillo too, no? Because the plant of the cucharillo is used more in the religious parties, no? In like Semana Santa, no? The Holy Week and Pascuas and Easter. I think the people make different ornaments for the church. for the water again, you feel very mineral. This is the only thing I know from this place. Maybe your feedback helped me too much, please.
Well, I have to say, Marco, that I love this atoll. I originally only picked up 3 bottles of every single one of the expressions, just because our cash flow is a little tighter opening up our shop right now. But when I tasted the sotol, and from my experience of tasting other sotols, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And I thought that the refrescadora, using that with this sotol, brought out more fruitier notes for me than I have gotten in other sotols before. And so I thought that was really special, that I ended up buying another 6-pack of the sotol. So that's available for you guys, because I want that available for you if you guys really like it, because I really like it. And it's important to note as well is that Marco explained to me, but to my belief, that Cucharillo, no plans on bringing it back at the moment, or what is the idea on the restocking of the Cucharillo here?
Again, please, I don't hear you. The question.
Is Cucharillo coming back after this, or is this it for the moment right now?
No, back again, the Cucharillo.
Yeah, the Cucharillo. Is this it for Cucharillo, or do you have more coming to the States after this?
Maybe we have another little, maybe come here, but not now. Maybe in the next time, but I don't know when. But you say another important thing, maybe make a note. When you feel a lot of flavors in the mezcales de Miahuatlán, the reflux is the reason. Because don't pass 2 times. When you distill a lot of times some alcohol, like the vodka, you take all the flavors and get a simple alcohol. And maybe in this Cucharillo, you feel more the flavors of the Dacilirium, because the people use a reflux. When you use the other kind of still, it's not the same, because in the second distillation, you create more flavors. You take more flavors and don't feel all the expression of the plant.
Definitely. And Marco, I do want to, just for some of the fans in here, Cucharillo is a cousin to agave, but that it's made very similar historically to mezcal. And so that's why we have Emmanuel Ramos here making a beautiful ensemble with the reflux or the refrescadora, and then also making Cucharillo from his land with the reflux as well. I tend to find more fruitier notes in reflux than I find in other ones. And that's why I have always been really drawn towards Miahuatlán for flavor profiles, more than just that, than also the water source and the flavors that come from that. So bottom line, I guess what I'm trying to say here, to me, this is a beautiful sotol. I got other sotols that are priced similar to this. I think this is the most fruit-forward sotol I have tasted in the States. But that's my personal opinion. I would love to hear what you guys think about this one after smelling it, sipping on it a little bit. What do you guys think about this sotol?
Something.
Guys are being shy again. I do like.
Sorry, my mic.
Go ahead, please, Rocio. Go ahead.
Sorry. I said I can share something. I've tried, obviously it doesn't taste like a sotol from the desert. It doesn't have that earthiness, that typical sotols have. So, but I get it, the terroir from Oaxaca definitely makes a difference for the Cucharillo. It's really good. It's different. It has a very different flavor. I taste a little bit like petroleum, maybe the smell. So yeah, it's a little different for me, but it's interesting, definitely.
Awesome. No, I appreciate the feedback.
I want to ask you something, Marco. This Cucharillo from Miahuatlán is a Dacilirium. ¿Sabes which kind of Dacilirium is? Serratifolium?
Dacilirium serratifolium, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Wellery is from the part of the north of the Mexico, and Cerratifolium grows from Puebla to area de Miahuatlán.
And Rocio, you hit it really great on the flavor profile there and what you brought up. I think generally when I describe Sotol to guests who have never heard about Sotol or having a hard time grasping it, flavor profiles to me that always pop out really quickly for Sotol: grassy, like leather boot strap in, like hopping on a horseback and going out somewhere with a bottle of mezcal. Like really a lot of those like earthy, like dirty, which I say dirty in a good way because I love those Sotoles, has more of those flavor profiles. And it's been really cool for me to compare and contrast Sierra Sotol compared to more in the Valley. And I think that this just adds another wrinkle as far as like all of us being able to put into our wheelhouse as far as comparing and contrasting what Dieselerian or Sotol plants can do as far as what terroir it's coming from and what part of Mexico, and also what type of distillation could have an effect. Because I guarantee you, if you did a copper pot or you did a clay pot or a Filipino compared to the reflux here, the refrescadora in Miahuatlán, you would get different flavor profiles, even if it was the same guy doing everything the same exact way. So we got the Gusto Historico, the historical flavor there that Marco's speaking to here. And I don't know, I enjoy it, but again, Sotol is going to have a flavor profile that will reach to certain different palates, and I think it's really cool to hear what people are really digging and not digging about each one. So that's awesome. Anything else that we want to add about this Sotol before we move into the final expression here tonight, guys?
Yeah, I had a quick question for Marco.
Please.
Do you know if people in Miahuatlán have been distilling cucharillo for a long time, or is it something that has been? I mean, I know you said it's not very common or very popular, but is it something that's more recent, or do you know that people generations ago were making cucharillo?
It's not new. It's not new, but in the past, not was common. It's very strange when the people distill cucharillo. Some producers sometimes, this is the reason why in all my life, I only tried 5 cucharillos, the different producers in all my mezcal life. It's very rare. Only one strange maguey from other producer, they only tried 2 times. But now it's most common because the people want to know what happened with the cucharillo in this area. But in the past was not common, but you can find sometimes past maybe 2 or 3 years when you heard again, oh, this Tío Valente still cucharillo. Okay, go for cucharillo with Tío Valente. But past 5 years, 7 years, Tío Juan, still cucharillo. Okay, but now you hear more and more cucharillo.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, and I think so you said historically before they were using cucharillo for church ornaments and things of that sort?
Yes, for church ornaments.
Gotcha. And Marco, do you feel that cucharillo is something that as a plant species could help alleviate some of the pressure that's on agaves from a consumer standpoint?
No, I only think the cucharillo now is in danger. No, but it's not for the consumer. It's because it's for the brands. Because if the brands make a great work, they don't cut more cucharillos. The problem with the mezcal now is because we leave to the market, make influence over the production.
Gotcha.
No? And the brands, because some brands want to sell more, for example, cut more Tobalá, no? This is another reason why it's very important, the mezclas, the ensembles, because the ensembles are more friendly with the environment, because you don't cut from the same plant, you cut when the maguey are ready, like in the mezcales in the past. When the maguey is ready, you use the maguey. You don't use all the time tobalas or all the time mexicano or all the time coyote, because you destroy the biodiversity. No, and you need to make a small batch. It's very difficult to maintain the same production, 1,000 and 1,000 liters for the market. No, and now the cucharillo. Well, now we begin to in our maguey invernadero, in nuestro garden from the nuestro maguey kinder, we begin to grow cucharillo. To grow cucharillo because when I separate to Mezcaloteca, when I leave Mezcaloteca project, I buy a lot of land from my grandmother, from my other uncles, because I want to grow more magueyes and maintain, conserve the mezcal landscape, like with all the biodiversity. No, we don't more clean all the fields and grow maguey. No, we maintain the trees, the bush, I don't know how you say pasto, the different plants, because it's part of the biodiversity and part of the flavors. I have a very good example of this. In the past, in 2005, when I began in the mezcal world, when I begin to try different mezcales for my different uncles, I remember the mezcal from Juan Garcia, a cousin from my grandmother. And this mezcal, the flavors are like orange, like azares, like the flower from the orange trees. And I ask, why your mezcals all the time have these flavors? The reason is because in my maguey fields, in between the magueyes, I have orange trees. And these trees, for many years, the leaves fall in the earth, the maguey, and they take these characteristics of the plant. Is when you understand how the biodiversity play with the maguey to make flavors for many, many years. No? It's very important to the environment. If you want to preserve the biodiversity of the maguey, my recommendation is drink ensembles.
Straight from the source there, guys. Drink ensembles. There is no other way to say it. That's and I think that it's the best way, honestly. You really truly get those complex layered flavor profiles that are really cool. I think that it's important in your first of your journey, Marco, to maybe explore single varietals, just so that you have a little bit of the understanding of kind of what they contribute, so that when somebody like you or I say like, oh, you know, the bequiche or madaquiche adds the citric in there, that you're able to understand how those flavors can kind of play a role in those. And then once you can get into those single varietals and you can start to put all that together, and that's what Tohono Mercado is here for, then we can start to take it to the next level as far as putting that all into ensembles, which I think is really cool. Guys, you ready to pour the last one here? The Juan Vasquez?
Juan Vasquez, this is another ensemble. It's Tepestate, Madrecuiche, Bicuiche, and
Tepestate, Tobalá, Cuiche, and Madaquiche.
Yeah, this is two distillation. Is a common still, a copper still with two pass, no, with two distillation. This mezcal is in the last because for me it's very interesting. This is a lot of resins that you feel the tepestate. When you want to know if the tepestate is a very particular maguey. When it's tepestate, you smell tepestate, feel the tepestate. You know this is use tepestate. This tepestate is strong in this mezcal, in this ensemble. And another note in the ensembles is for me is more interesting because the ensembles has many levels in the flavors. You try and weigh the aftertaste. In the aftertaste, you feel another flavors. If you drink again, you feel another level, and are not smoky, no, because the smoky flavor is a sub level. It's not the principal flavor.
Marco, I don't know if you saw me, but I closed my eyes there for a second. It wasn't that I wasn't listening to you. but I took a sip of the mezcal and it just, first off, guys, tepestate, Marco, what you were saying, 100%, you can smell tepestate on this one. 100%. Like for anybody that loves tepestate, it's there on their aroma, 100%. That is a special one. And the flavor profiles, it just keeps going and going. You get the soil in there. The tepestate is popping and bursting on the aroma and the first flavor profile there. Bursting through. What are you guys thinking?
I love this one.
Wow.
This one's it's peppery, almost jalapeno. It's very tasty, but it's very peppery and has a nice little smooth spice to it. I love it.
We got, wow, this is a special one. I mean, and the bottle here, I have to say 50% tepestate. It says 25% Karwinski, one Karwinski, 10% of the other, and then 15% of the Tobalá there. Wow. This Juan Vasquez, what is his relationship to you, Marco?
Juan Vasquez I began to work with Juan Vasquez in 2005. He was with my first mezcaleros when I began my project A Punto de Veneno, my first mezcal project. I lived to work many years, and now I begin with Mezcal Gusto Historico. I begin to work again with Juan Vasquez. Juan Vasquez is how do you say, primo lejano, a far cousin from is a son for a cousin from my grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah. All the producers are part of my family. All the time I say I have 25 uncles and cousins making mezcal. I know all the life does it. All these guys are part for me for many years. No, I know for many years.
Gotcha. Man, this the words are out of my, like, please guys, you gotta help me. What do you guys think on this? This is absolutely amazing. I love it. This is a good one.
It's definitely a really good one. You can definitely taste the tepestate and smell it right away, but it does have a little bit of the sweetness of the Karwinskis. So it's you can kind of like, after you taste it, like third, fourth sip, everything starts kind of like showing up, which is really good. I just wanted to say, Marco, you probably don't remember me. We never really met in person, pero te conozco, bueno, platicaba contigo, sorry.
No,
Desde
please.
2009,
Please.
2009, 2010, I opened up a mezcalera in the south side of Jalisco. And I used to buy from you A Punto de Veneno, Mezcalito del Bueno.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. We were the only mezcalera in the southern sides of Jalisco.
Oh, wow.
So that was like 2009, 2010, kind of like when Pare de Sufrir opened up. Yeah, we would, you would ship me some stuff, and the only Oaxacan mezcal I had at the time was A Punto de Veneno, and it was Tobalás and Madre Cruces.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. Really good mezcales, by the way. They
Yeah,
were
A Punto de
oily.
Veneno, yeah. It's the OG, A Punto de Veneno.
Yes. I still have a bottle somewhere in my mom's house in Mexico.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Good stuff. But yeah, thank you. These are amazing. I'm actually a very big fan of ensambles myself. I think ensambles offer a lot more sometimes than just single agave. So don't shy away from ensambles, people. Felicidades por el nuevo proyecto.
Gracias. Thank you.
Awesome, Rocio. Thank you. Anybody else? What are you guys thinking on this last one here?
I got a bit of a creaminess, sweetness to it, like some very subtle creaminess to it.
Yeah, I think it comes like on the finish when you first get the tepestate, and then I really truly believe, and who knows, I don't know, but I personally truly believe that Tobalá is really coming on the finish. that really nice resounding sweetness you get there, that where it just leaves this pleasant memory in your mind. I think it's the tobolat to start and the tepestate, tepestate to start, tobolat to finish. And honestly, if I were a mezcalero, and there's no way I could be, because I don't have anywhere even a sliver of the talent that these guys do. But if I were, I would love for the tepestate to come first and the tobolat to finish, as far as like from a consumer standpoint. And I think that he hit it on that, at least for me personally. Beautiful journey there from start to finish, Marco. Wow, really great.
Yeah, for me, this mezcal especially is from my favorites. Juan Vasquez is one of my favorite producers because they work at beautiful tepestates. Maybe the next batch to send to the United States is tepestate from Juan Vasquez, because it's amazing, this guy working the tepestate.
Yeah, and I really love doing these tasting, guys, because we tasted 3 different producers today. And I'm sure that for every single person that's in this tasting right now, somebody says that their producer is their favorite. It's going to be different than somebody else, right? And that's why I love doing these tastings, because I think it's so hard for me to just put one bottle in front of somebody and say, hey, you're going to like this. This is the flavor profile. And boom, let's roll with it. And this is my favorite. But when I get to put 4 in front of you, I normally do 3, but for Gusto Historico, I wanted to do 4 because it was such a great project, Marco, that we need to carry all of them. I really enjoyed these tastings, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys being as stoked as me and Marco and Robert and the other people from JVS that are in here right now are for this amazing product that you're doing, Marco. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for promoting Gusto Historico. And sorry for my English again.
No, Marco.
Your English is amazing.
Your English is great.
We would be nowhere with our Spanish.
Great. For sure.
I just want to ask one more question.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Yuko.
Yeah, it is possible. Okay,
Yes,
Marco, congratulations first, for beautiful project like you are bringing to the American market. I guess it's really important, to know, what are you talking about, the Gusto Historico, I guess it is like people like we're involved in the industry, and people like exploring, mezcales, it's important to know, like ensambles, as you mentioned, like are what they used to maestros mezcaleros do, like it was the original recipe, like it was not such a thing like just one agave. But my question is like, what do you think, because I see more common in those days, in the American market, like maestros mezcaleros working with different brands, but they are the same maestros mezcaleros. So that is good for the maestros mezcaleros, or it can hurt, in the long term?
It's good
Like,
for the
because
maestro.
to push them, like that push them, like to do, like the way they're doing, like faster or not, I'm just curious.
No, it's good for the maestros mezcaleros, because a lot of time the rural Mexico, the Mexican field, the farmers was abandoned for the government. This is the reason why a lot of the people go to United States to work, no, because they don't have work in his own land, no. Now the mezcal begin to make again to the families come together again. Some guys return to Mexico to make mezcal, no. Now it's a good economy for the mezcal families. But now it's not good for the biodiversity, because a lot of brands take a lot of magueyes. Another thing to understand in the mezcal is a season product. In the past, the producers don't make mezcal all the year, because they grow this growing corn and pumpkins and beans, chiles, and other different things. And the other reason why they don't make mezcal in the rain season is because the weather is not good to the ferment. You don't have the same quantity in the mezcal. You don't produce the same quantity of the mezcal in rainy season or in winter season. This is the reason why the mezcal produced like this month in the Easters when the weather is heat, because you need the heat in the fermentation. It's very important. I answered you or not? Yes? No?
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome.
And again, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Bruce and Michael, you guys were gonna ask something?
Yeah, well, I have a comment that Marco, number one, your English is darn good, but your mezcals are much better even. They are so good. These are excellent. I love them.
Nice.
Awesome.
I hope you enjoy all the mezcals.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to mention, guys, after the tasting here, I'll make available what we have available for sale. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please, you have my personal email to reach out. I'll put it in here as far as any questions that you may have. But without further ado, I think if there isn't any other questions or any other lasting comments here, I want to say on behalf of the whole group here tonight, thank you so much, Marco, and for everybody that helped make this happen, from JVS, from Heavy Metal, importing it. Each of you guys play an important and integral role in making this happen. And lastly, it's the consumer. It's you guys. It's our guests here tonight. You guys make the dream happen. You continue to support these amazing products that allows us to keep doing these virtual tastings, and allows these amazing producers to not have to worry about changing their craft to make a brand happy. You can trust that with Gusto Historico, that Marco is entrenched in the history and in the way of continuing to make the mezcals to the way that they used to be made. And you can always trust that with Marco and with the Gusto Historico. So Marco, thank you so much. I want to give you a chance here to thank everybody, but thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
No, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for
Thank you so much.
mezcales.
This is excellent. Treat, real treat.
Gracias, Marco. Muy delicioso.
Gracias a ustedes.
Awesome.
Qué bueno que les gustó.
Yeah, and I do have to say, Gusto Historico is sold out, but it doesn't mean that there isn't more coming to the States. I think that this was a really great opportunity for each of us to learn the families and the producers. And we know next time, well, you know what? I really love the Ramos family. And when we do a Gusto Historico tasting next time, like, you don't even wait for the tasting. You're like, I'm just going to get a bottle, or you know that Victor Ramos is one of your producers and you want to see what he's coming up with next, right? The hand of the maestro is just as important.
So another
Marco.
question, when you come to Oaxaca, if you want to know the producers, put in contact with me, and I'm too glad to go with you to know all my uncles, or because are my family, and how to make mezcal different producer, and ask him why they choose these magueyes. And it's all the time it's better to talk with the maestros mezcaleros, no? And when you are welcome, guys, when you come to Oaxaca.
Thank you, Marco. Really appreciate that. Guys, again, thank you. It's so hard to say goodbye to you guys always, so each week, but we will say good night, and please keep a lookout for future events that we're doing in the same place that you found this event. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, Marco. Thank you. Robert, you're somewhere here. Thank you, brother. Ram, everybody. Good night.